A lot of times we talk about what is the best anime of like each season. But by far, I think that Jobless Reincarnation is the best isekai of 2023. And it's just how much they went into the emotion of season 2 so far with episode 3. So if you guys haven't watched episode 3, then this is not the video for you. But I am all the way caught up with season 2 as of currently from episode 5. But I want to talk about season 2, episode 3. Because I feel like if you are a man, and I know how that's supposed to sound, but I really do feel like this episode relates to like problems within guys and just manhood in general, at least to me, right? And I'm not trying to make it sound any type of way, but when I watched Jobless Reincarnation episode 3, I felt utter sadness for the main character. Like going into Rudis, because if you know nothing about what happens in this episode, I'm gonna spoil it real quick. So y'all gotta go in 3, 2, 1. But basically just how he has ED. By the end of this episode, I wanted to cry. As a person who I actually find that it's hard to relate to some women that's out there. And I'm not trying to disrespect women at all. So I'm trying to get really emotional. Like I'm trying to actually bring myself as open as I possibly can with you guys, the viewer, because you guys are important. So I don't want to hide nothing. But as a person in general, especially as a guy, I find it extremely hard to relate and find emotional connections with some ladies nowadays. And I'm not saying that it's the women's problem or maybe it's just a me thing. I think it might just be a me thing because I find it hard to relate to a lot of people. But going into this, how Rudis built an emotional bond with the female character of this season at the very beginning, how they went from people who didn't really like each other to people that they will risk their lives for each other to potential lovers. And you can see it all in like Rudis' face in the episode, like as they're trying to get closer and closer, like while they're in the bar, to even like they're getting ready to, do the deed later in that same exact episode. And as everything's about to happen, you just see like her face, she's ready, he's ready, but he literally can't do it. And you see this big face of pain on him. And I feel like as a guy, if any guy had to go through ED by any chance, or they had to experience something that's just like ED, I feel like a lot of men wouldn't know how to operate. I wouldn't know how to operate. I'll at least say that right now. I genuinely wouldn't know what to do. I would feel lost as a guy because that's one of my biggest fears as a guy. Because I haven't really found myself that involved with women growing up. So I feel like just one thing being like super emotionally evolved. I mean, not evolved, like emotionally connected with somebody to where like you guys are spending nearly every single day together. You guys are drinking together. You guys are just having fun, right? And then going from like, I guess the dating stage where like she gets ready, he gets ready to like go out on a date. And you guys are just getting closer and closer, trying to pick each other's favorite items and things like that, like how Rudis did in this episode. Especially how in the end of season 1, the first time Rudis ever got emotionally and romantically involved with a female character, he just felt lost. And going into that from how they carried that into season 2, from the very beginning of the season, and seeing that Rudis is like actually starting to open up from that potential loss and just like somewhat starting to forget about her, at least in this episode, I believe he was starting to forget about her. To like how they're by themselves and he already knows what's about to happen later that night. That going from that emotion of care and empathy and like compassion for a new individual as a guy to leading up to like that big moment where he finally realized that he can't do it at all. Like his mental state of like just his face in general, I wanted to cry for the main character. I don't naturally feel that way. A lot of times when people make like things and it's tragic for the main character, I just enjoy it. But when it came to Rudis from Jobless Reincarnation, I felt nothing but sadness. And I feel like if any other man, including myself, had to go through that, I wouldn't know how to carry on. And I feel like just how the way they did that and portrayed it by literally the end of the episode where like Rudis is constantly drinking all night because he's trying to cope with that inability to use his manhood that's down there. And then even when he says all of this stuff about her to make himself feel better, and you see her genuine reaction of just heartbreak feeling crushed because she actually was gonna come back and try to, like, I guess, reconcile the relationship or anything. Because I don't know most women who pretty much would do that. Not trying to discredit any women that's out there, because I feel like women and men, I feel like everybody is good in their respective fields. I feel like everybody does stuff the right way, depending. But I'm saying, I'm just speaking from a guy's perspective, getting emotionally involved with a woman. I can't see a lot of women, at least what I have dealt with, not speaking for all the men that's out there, getting like emotionally involved where they will come back and try to reconcile the relationship, even though to majority of people it will be over. Because the Rudis, he thought it was over. He was just saying stuff to make himself feel better, but I don't think he really thought it was gonna work. I know he says like, well, who cares if it doesn't work out, as like a joke, just to mentally psych himself up. But I feel like overall he definitely did feel crushed to the point that he just genuinely didn't know how to. And then coming back and just seeing him like this, what is it? Just coming back and seeing himself like this, and he's literally on his knees. It just looks like he's tortured, right? Like, I genuinely feel nothing but sadness and pity for this MC. And there's a lot of guys that's out there that's probably been through this same exact experience, and they don't know what to cope. Like, he feels genuinely lost, and he has nothing to go about it. And the worst thing about it is, this man was ready to off himself. She dropped the sword right in front of him that they bought together as a gift. And he literally was about to off himself. My bad. My dad calling me. Dad, if you're watching this video, I love you. But anyway, like, he's genuinely about to off himself, right? He sees the weapon, he's picking it up, and he's about to go ham on his own life. And I don't know if a lot of men have experienced stuff like that, but I hope it does get better. Everything in life has its ups and downs. So if you guys are watching this video and you guys feel lost, just know things do get better. Like, I connected with Rudis because I'm not saying I experienced anything with ED, but I have experienced this stuff in life where I wanted to off myself, and seeing that Rudis was just that close off of losing, like, that emotional stability that he had with a person that he actually cared about. This is his second time experiencing that, and this time it actually seemed like it would have went somewhere. I wouldn't know how to really go about it, but I know it gets better from that. I will say that as somebody who actually wanted to off themselves, it does get better. I'm trying to tell you guys, keep moving forward. But at least from the perspective of this show and how Rudis has like ED, he was ready to off himself and everything like that. He just genuinely didn't know what to do. I felt nothing but sadness for the character. And I feel like people who can make a connection with anime characters, depending on the situation, it holds a bigger field of depth in some people's lives. Because I have seen some people like relate to anime characters, so like they motivate them a lot, especially at the gym. But seeing like a show like Jobless Reincarnation, where basically the main character gets a restart in life, but life just holds him down so much that it's terrible. But he has no choice but to go with the punches. It brings something out of me. And as a guy watching this episode, emotionally, I felt nothing. Like, I keep saying I felt nothing but sadness and I wanted to cry, but it's because of just how good the writing and the quality of it. Seeing how Rudis went from his life in season 1 where he had nothing and overall nobody, even though he had a mom and dad, but we didn't really see the connection, to how season 2 is, he's finally building up connections, finally opening himself up, finally caring about people for really the first time ever, and seeing just what that's doing to his mental state is something that's new. I love it, but I also can't stand it because the pain that I experienced while watching this show with this main character is something that's completely different than most shows to me. And seeing that he was so close to offing himself, if nobody was around him, he would have did it in any second. It's pretty crazy to me. If this one random guy wasn't there for him, who they didn't even like each other at first, wasn't there, Rudis would be GG's. And I think that speaks volumes for the character overall. I think that speaks volumes for the series overall. And it was a comment that I saw from like one of these Jobless Reincarnation videos, and there was a legitimate like guy in the comments saying that he actually experienced ED. And a lot of other guys was like getting on him. They was like, why would you even comment about that in your life? It was like, you shouldn't have put that on social media. But what I saw was a person willing to actually express himself as a man and actually say like, hey, it gets better from here. Even though it's a terrible experience, you have to live with it and go better from it. And for some instances, it does get better for a lot of guys. In other instances, it may not. But seeing that somebody actually wrote that in like a comment section for a video about anime and how he related to it, and actually was trying to encourage other men that it's not that bad, was incredible to me. And this only happened because I watched Jobless Reincarnation season 2. And the fact that people was ridiculing him, other men was getting on him about like literally commenting about that, I found sad. And it just made me really want to talk about it in this video. Express to you guys just how I genuinely felt. And also, ladies, if you was ever in this predicament, in general, or if you have been in this predicament, how do you guys feel about this? Like, this is a open discussion for everybody, because I really do feel like anime at times can really inspire to bring up good and great conversations for a lot of people. But guys and everybody else that's watching this video, how do y'all feel about it? Are you guys watching Jobless Reincarnation? Is this the first time even hearing about it from me? Or how do you guys genuinely feel? Because right now, I love this series. It has brought back that binge watching anime fanatic that I always been, and I love that for this show. But if you guys also love this video, love anime related videos and topics like this, don't forget to follow me for more videos just like this. I do a variety of different content. I talk about some of your popular anime series from Bleach, Naruto, One Piece, of course, Dragon Ball Z, and unpopular anime series as well. Because I love doing this stuff, and I love talking to you guys and communicating with you guys as a community. But if you guys want more videos, or tell me how you feel about this video as well, put it down below in the comments. And I hope you guys have a wonderful day and a wonderful night.